There's a serious question. Can the President of the United States wave a magic wand and with the flick of his wrist suddenly declassify top secret documents? If so, it's possible former President Trump is legally in the clear. He and his legal team are arguing that the documents found at Mar-a-Lago were declassified by him before he left office. This is something that his lawyer told me on my show On Balance last night.
President Trump has the authority and had the authority to declassify and declare any record a presidential record. That is solely his purview. He cannot be found inconsistent. All he has to do as the president is make up his own mind that something is declassified, and it's declassified. There doesn't have to be a ceremony.
And that argument is getting some pushback from people on my former network, Fox News. Here's Brett Baer.
That is a big power that the president has, a sweeping power to declassify. But there are also regulations that a process has to take place. It's not like you wave a wand and say all of these boxes are declassified. So there's a paper trail and specifics to that.
All right. President Trump argues that President Obama was the last one who unlawfully took documents, saying, quote, the bigger problem is what are they going to do with the 33 million pages of documents, many of which are classified, that President Obama took to Chicago? The National Archives and Records Administration put a stop to this argument. They preserve and maintain records after a president leaves office. This afternoon, they confirmed that Obama had not kept his documents, classified or unclassified, as required under the Presidential Records Act of 1978. Meanwhile, we should remind you that in 2018, President Trump elevated the unauthorized removal and retention of classified government documents to a felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Joining us now, National Security Attorney Bradley Moss, specializes in litigation on matters relating to national security, federal employment, and security clearance law. Is there any case law in this of whether or not a president can sort of go, okay, declassified?
Yeah, there's no real case law on point, and certainly not in a criminal context. We're in completely uncharted territory here. We don't really know, beyond what we can surmise from the guidelines, from the regulations, what would happen here in a criminal context. A president can declare, I want this document sitting in front of me to be declassified. That's fine. But then there's a process that has to be followed to actually modify the document so anyone looking at it knows it's been declassified and can handle it as if it was declassified. As far as we can tell, Donald Trump may have pointed to boxes in the West Wing as they were packing up and said, all that is declassified. That doesn't actually make them declassified for purposes of handling, transmission, and storage.
So the question would be who then adjudicates this? Second part of that, though, you've got this long process, right, of he leaves in January of 2021, goes to Mar-a-Lago. The National Archives come down and they get 15 boxes. Then all of a sudden the Department of Justice gets involved. There's a meeting with the FBI who says, hey, go put a padlock on this door. According to Trump's attorney, they had access and they walked through this room that these documents were held in. And then all of a sudden they go and get a warrant, but they wait a month and a half to get a warrant or more. Then they wait 3 days to go serve the warrant. Are we to believe that there are documents out there that are a grave threat to national security, nuclear launch codes, if you believe the Washington Post, that are just floating around for 18 months and nobody knew?
Well, so it's yes and no. What we know is the National Archives was supposed to have gotten everything in January 2021. He was never supposed to have taken this stuff in the first place. But they discovered as they were trying to create the Trump archive that he can eventually use one day if he wants in any presidential library he could create, they discovered there was all a number of documents missing. So they reached out to the Trump team. That's how we got what happened last February, where you had the initial 15 boxes that were recovered that had classified documents in it. That started the DOJ getting involved. And the DOJ has been bending over backwards, in my opinion, trying to accommodate the former president and his staff in trying to recover these documents. They haven't been getting a lot of cooperation.
I can't help but think about, as you listen to some lawyers with slightly, shall we say, less restraint than you in terms of rushing to judgment, make this argument that President Trump is heading to jail and he might as well start measuring his orange jumpsuits. Really, the Department of Justice is going to prosecute a former president for taking memos and notes and maps from the al-Baghdadi raid?
You know what? They could. There's certainly no reason to think they can't. And the reason that it's different here than most other cases is because there's no other remedy available to punish for the security action. Normally, they don't prosecute because they're content to revoke a clearance or to fire someone. That's not a remedy they have here. The only thing they can do for someone who took all this and it's been 18 months getting it back is to consider an indictment. Whether they choose to do so depends on a number of political and legal factors.
Yeah, no, political probably being rightfully put ahead of the legal ones. Hey, Bradley, it was good to see you. Thank you as always. We appreciate it.
Not a problem, anytime.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.